Hi, Nanette. Oh my gosh. Really?
Am I muted? Oh, hi.
Hi. Oh, I love the, what's that called?
Wow.
The top bun?
Oh, this is my signature right now because I was butchered before I left New Jersey. So this is all I can do until my hair grows.
Well, I'm liking it.
So big hair, don't care.
I like it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi, Veronica.
Lips are so chapped.
Okay, let me get out of all my tabs because there's too many open. It's overwhelming. Rolls, all right. Okay. Well, congrats to both of you for being on time. If I could get bonus points, I would.
Woohoo!
Mm-hmm. And Annette, you're giving a speech tonight.
I am.
Yeah. So exciting. Veronica, what are you doing tonight? What's your role?
I am the evaluator for Sophia.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Okay. Well, let's do a quick little check-in with both of you. What went well last week in terms of visibility, speaking up, public speaking?
I have been on networking overload. Went to my first networking event Thursday morning, and then I met with a local coach Thursday afternoon. I hosted my first women's circle on Friday night, which was amazing. And then on Sunday, I went to a women's resilient goddess circle. So it was just a fulfilling week, last 4 days.
That's like major visibility out there, or right there.
Yes, it was, the circle was great. I had one of the friends that did attend, so there were 2 people and 2 people I didn't. And one of the women that I did know, she was just like, oh my God, this could be so big. And she was encouraging everyone to bring 2 friends next time. And I just loved it because it wasn't like I had to be the one to say anything. So, yeah.
Amazing. Oh, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Let me respond to Mary real quick. Welcome, Sophia and Molly. Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I'm so sad Monica's not going to be here.
Yeah, well, we can live vicariously through her photos.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so amazing.
Yeah, Veronica, you were just in Greece. Did you go to Santorini?
I don't recall. We went to, it was like boom, 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 boom. I don't think Santorini was one of them.
Okay.
Yeah,
No.
I think about it.
It sounds like
Yeah.
it sounds like you saw a lot of islands then, if you're like, I don't even remember which ones.
Well, we did the land tour
Okay.
and not islands. So if that's an island, then no.
It is an island.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd love to go back and see an island.
Yeah, they're gorgeous. Okay, hold on. Let me just respond to Mary really quick.
Yeah.
I'm going to mute myself. You guys can talk for a moment.
Sophia, where's your
Yeah.
smile?
Santorini is definitely on my bucket list.
Okay, awesome. There's your smile. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I got distracted. I've just closed off all the distractions. How's everyone doing?
Good. How about you?
I'm good.
Oh, shit.
Good.
Sheila has her lips on tonight. She's ready to present. She's looking.
Yay.
I had to.
I was
need
this close to
confidence.
doing it.
That's my secret weapon. I dress up when I need confidence. Okay, so we're not going to have Angela on tonight. We're not going to have Mary. We're definitely not having Monica. I'm not sure about Bobby. Molly, you're her buddy, right? Okay, thanks, Molly. Who else will we be? Sarah should be here. Bobby, Sarah. Is there anyone else? Hold on, let me see who's in the Facebook group.
I'll see if I can reach Sarah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Just want to make sure everyone's accounted for before we start.
I also have chocolate just in case I freak out.
You have chocolate. Is that a secret? A public?
It's like either that or the bottle of wine, and I thought that would be more appropriate.
Okay.
So is that chocolate for everyone or just for you?
Yeah, I'll show you pictures. Like, it came from the chocolate therapist downtown Littleton. It was like $14 for this.
Wow.
We'll see if it helps.
Some of the speakers and Toastmasters will bring food when they give speeches, and we're like, we know what you're trying to do. You're trying to get that speaker. Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Who here did like a Facebook Live last week or did public speaking of some sort that I need to mark down? Sheila, what did you do?
I did a Facebook Live telling everybody that I was probably going to start blogging soon, but I haven't yet. So.
Okay, well, you put it out there, so that's good. We're in week 5, right? Yeah, okay. Why did I not mark these for last week? Okay, so Sheila did a Facebook Live. Who else did stuff last? Veronica, you did one, right?
I did a video talking about my women's circle, and I've been doing a lot of networking the last few days.
Okay. Who else did something live last week?
I did, but I'm trying to get a recording of it. I very occasionally I go to Toastmasters with a friend of mine, so I went and had to do a table topic.
Nice. Okay, you're going to be ready for tonight.
Sure.
All right. And then Nanette and Molly, nothing for you guys last week?
No,
Not-
I have some catching up to do.
Okay, perfect. Honestly, it's fine.
Not yet.
Okay, got it. All right, so we got that done. Check. Let's see, what's next? What's next? Done. Let me bring up my notes. Wins. Okay, so Veronica shared a win. Who else wants to share a win that's around speaking up, speaking out, anything with speaking?
Oh, I got one.
Yeah.
Yeah, just today with my therapist. So we were talking about like the miscommunication about my work and about like getting past the whole being perceived as a tutor for children thing and the whole, oh, I wish you would have been around when I was young. And she said that I sounded perfectly clear. So she and I identified some blocks to my confidence. And she's unique that she does both therapy and Reiki and energy healing. So then we did some energy clearing blocks. So I'm still kind of digesting those. So I'm kind of laying low tonight. So I'm glad I'm the timer. And if Bobby doesn't show up, I can also be the yaw counter. So
Well, thank you, Molly. That's super sweet of you to volunteer. And that's awesome. I love that you're committed to doing this work with your therapist. And it just goes to show how strong you are and how committed, you
yeah.
are to your
Mhm.
mission. I love it.
Yeah, she's amazing. And she was very encouraging, saying that I sounded perfectly clear to her. So, let's just work on the confidence.
Yeah. Great. Oh, what great feedback.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, let me write that down. Molly on confidence. Okay, anyone else want to share a win?
I'll go.
Go ahead.
So I'm participating in a series of speaking events with a group of women starting in January. And we decided to create a collaborative book together. And I just submitted my draft for my part of the collaboration. So I submitted that on last week, and I'm excited about it.
Oh my gosh, what's it going to be about? Can you talk about it?
Well, my chapters, it's going to be about my story. Gosh, it's kind of a loaded question. It's going to be about my story and how I can, and how people can learn how to overcome through, my trials and tribulations, through, the suffering that I've endured, the challenges that I've had to walk through. And yeah, I'm really excited to be part of this. It was just so interesting because I wound up connecting with this woman who owned a spiritual center in New Jersey, very close to where I lived for 20 years. She friended me on Facebook before I moved to Florida. Then when I moved to Florida, she lives in Clearwater or St. Pete.
Mm-hmm.
We met up, and then she asked me, she's like, I've had this vision for these events, bringing these women together. And she asked me if I wanted to collaborate. And it's just been taking off. And now we're putting this book out. We have our first events booked in January, and it's like, wow, things are happening fast. So I've got to polish up my skills ASAP.
Gosh, wow. Yeah, it just seems like, Nanette, like one after another opportunities are just coming into your path.
Yeah, I think there's a huge shift energetically. It's like this portal has opened up, and perhaps it's a combination. I'm not resisting it. So
yeah, definitely. That's a big thing it's a big theme or a big aha moment for me this week that I wanted to share with you all. Right. I work with a lot of new coaches in Inner Glow Circle, and I hear a lot of people say, like, why am I not getting hired? Or why am I not making more money? Or why is this not happening? And I'm in this mastermind with Rebecca and with very successful coaches that are making between like 10K to 20K months. And I'm like studying them. And I'm like, what are these coaches doing that's making them so successful? And one in particular is in her energy. She's just very open. Like you can tell she's done a lot of money mindset work. She's just very open to receiving clients. And I looked at her social media, and like everywhere on her social media, she has posted that she's taking one-on-one clients. Like she has it on her cover photo. on all her posts. She's like doing these really valuable posts. And at the end, she's like, I have a few positions open for one-on-one spots with me. And like, you just feel it in her energy that she's like, I'm ready, world. Hire me. Here I am. And I can tell, like, with coaches who aren't doing as well, there's a block. There's like it's almost like they're like, you know, you guys probably watched that video with Monica in Impromptu Speaking. She said, like, don't block yourself off from the audience. Like, I can feel when coaches have this like energetic block and they're like, don't give me money. Don't hire me. Like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to be visible. I'm not ready to put myself out there. So it's just interesting. And so Nanette, like kind of what you were saying is like, I just feel energetically you're open and you're like, I'm here and I'm ready to receive whatever that might be right now. And as you can see, it's working. So it's cool.
Definitely. And I'm embracing failing forward. That's something that's been very, very difficult for me. The fear of not getting it right the first time. It's held me back. Yeah. And I'm finally willing to move through it. Not that I'm going to let that go completely. I think that's something that'll be ongoing, but I'm far more willing. Oh, I think that the echo like thought I made a command, but I'm far more willing to walk through it, where before I was like, no, I'm not. I'm just going to stay back here where it's comfortable and safe. And now I'm like, you know what? That's not accomplishing anything. I need to get over that shit. And
right. Yeah. You know, most of us are going to fail on the first time. Most of us, it's going to be messy, but that's how we learn. Like, failing's beautiful. Failing brings so many lessons. So I love that, failing forward. Yeah. Veronica, did you want to add something?
I do. Because I've been challenged in being more visible and getting out there. And in my experience, going to the networking event and to the circle, I mean, the circle had 2 people and I was one of them, you know? So, and then going to the networking event and seeing these other coaches and realizing, you know what? I am just as good as they are at presenting and talking, if not better, because I've been doing this work and this public speaking. And I was actually excited to think about when I get an opportunity to do my 30-minute spill, like how much I can improve on the experience, because I just feel like our coaching training is just, what do you want to walk away with? What do you want to walk away with? You know, it's just so critical to come with that mindset, not making it about you, but making it about them. What are they going to walk away with? And so just realizing that, you know what, we're rocking it as coaches and we're just getting started. And some of these people have been doing it for a while. So yeah, it was really exciting.
I love that. I feel the confidence in your
Not to compare, but you know, we're doing really awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad you had that awakening, that you've had like an amazing training and you're a really great coach. And like, yeah, when you see other coaches, you're right. You don't want to compare. You don't want to say I'm better than you, but your skills are probably better than them. I guarantee it. Oh, I love that, Veronica. Amazing. All right, cool. Okay, let's keep going. So tonight is all about impromptu speaking. So speaking on the fly. So Monica has some questions for us. Actually, okay, what do you guys want to do? We could actually do a little bit of coaching first, or we can go right into our table topics first. So vote. Raise your hand if you want to do coaching first. Raise your hand if you want to do impromptu speaking first. Okay, you guys want to get it out of the way. That's really funny. All right. So Angela was going to be our question master, but she had to work tonight. So I'm going to be your question master again. And our theme tonight is sweater weather. Sweater, oh my gosh, try to say that. Sweater weather. There we go. Who is going to be our timer? Or Molly, you're our timer? Okay, so Molly, you know, for Toastmasters, right? Like when they get to, they have to speak for 1 minute to qualify, even though we're not doing best tabletop. But so when it's the 1 minute mark, hold up the one, make sure that the person can see it, and then when it hits the 2 minute mark, if they get there, hold up two, and then and then they need to wrap it up at the 2 minute mark. Okay, let's do it. So, as a lot of you know, autumn is the time for everything pumpkin flavored to come out. So I would love tonight for you to give us your honest thoughts on pumpkin spice latte and everything pumpkin flavored. Do you love it or hate it? Veronica Autry.
Pumpkin spice is one of my not so favorite at Starbucks, but I know that it's a major attraction to a lot of consumers. For me, when it comes to pumpkin and autumn and fall, I do love orange and the fall colors. I even have the orange nails going on here. But I'm more of a pumpkin pie person. And it's funny because I was just considering signing up for the pumpkin pie 5K race down in City Park because it's so fun to go run with a bunch of crazy people in cold weather and then get a slice of pumpkin pie at the end. The only crazy part is there's no whipped cream, which, you know, definitely adds to the pumpkin. I have bought the Starbucks pumpkin pie spice for my Keurig, and it just really isn't that great. I find that it just has, you know, it's nice to know that I don't have to hop on the bandwagon with everybody else. But if it's your latte, then feel free to order that the next time you're at Starbucks. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Veronica, for sharing your thoughts on PSL and pumpkin flavored stuff with us. So fall tends to be a favorite season for most people. So I would love to hear from you. What's your favorite part about the fall season, Nanette?
Wait, I gotta find Molly. Okay. Well, interestingly enough, I will not be experiencing the fall season because I just moved to Florida 2 months ago. I am experiencing fall vicariously, looking at the beautiful leaf changes up in North Jersey, watching my friends going out for pumpkin picking and engaging in all of the wonderful fall activities that people up north are experiencing. What is my favorite thing about fall would probably be, oh, you know what? I'm going to be honest. I don't really care too much about fall. When I was living in New Jersey, I really just couldn't wait for summer all year round. I just wanted summer all year round. And I knew once fall came, that meant very shortly winter would be here. So fall would always make me feel apprehensive. And yes, the changing of the leaves was beautiful and I loved Halloween. But after that, it's just downhill. So fall to me feels a bit like a bummer. And even though right now I'm in Florida and to tell you the truth, I'm still a little iffy if I'm even going to stay here, I don't mind missing out on fall because I know what comes after it. Thank you.
All right, amazing. And thank you for your honest thoughts there, Annette. Okay, so as we all know, there's two important holidays that come up for the fall, Halloween and Thanksgiving. So what I want to know is if you had to pick between these two, which would be your favorite holiday? Sophia Robinson.
it's really tough because I've never experienced Thanksgiving. So I've always wanted to. Like, I am a bit of a Food Network fan, so I love watching the Pioneer Woman cooking her stuff and having her family around. And I keep trying to make American friends so that I can come and experience an American Thanksgiving. Hint, hint, hint. So I'm just putting it out there right now, but I've never actually, like, even when I've been in the US, I think I've been there once over Thanksgiving. I was with my Barbadian friends, and so they would still make Barbadian food, and I was like, I want to go somewhere that there's Americans and experience a proper American Thanksgiving. So by default, I will say Halloween. I like baking. I love making pumpkin-based things as opposed to pumpkin spice flavor. So I have a really nice pumpkin cream cheese cake recipe. I do pumpkin pie. I've done it a couple times. I love like scary candies and stuff like that. So by default, I will go with Halloween. Until such a time as one of my American friends invites me for Thanksgiving, and then I can make a proper assessment of the two holidays. I didn't see Molly's finger go up, but
It did, yeah. It
okay.
did. Yeah, Molly, you can just leave your finger up for just a little bit longer to make sure they see it. Thank you. But yeah, you're
Okay. Yeah, she was okay. It's 1:35.
I thought so. I can't speak for less than a minute about anything, so I figured I had. That's fine.
Well, thank you, Sophia, for sharing that. And we all hope that you can make an American friend so quickly so you can experience a real Thanksgiving dinner. Okay, so fall is an amazing time to pull out your wardrobe, the things that you haven't been able to wear all summer. I think it's the most fashionable time of the year, but I would love to know what's your favorite thing to wear in the fall and why, Sheila Chester.
Personally, last year I got into these, I don't know what you call them, but like sweater dresses. No, they have like sweater cardigans. And last year I started singing in the fall at church. So I have all these like long cardigans, long sleeve, and I kind of went a little overboard and bought like 15 of them, which apparently they're an addition. You don't wear them every day, Sheila. Like, you don't really need to do that. But yeah, my favorite thing is these cardigans, and my favorite cardigan is actually more of like a winter one. So every day I stare at it and I'm like, when it's not cold enough yet to wear you, I'm sorry. And then I pet it. It's so fuzzy. It's this white vest, like sweater, like it's faux fur white, and it goes down to my knees. And it's so warm, and I wore it for Christmas last year. And then it's not cold enough in Colorado to wear these things. But I also have a lighter summer version, which it's too hot. It's too hot in the summer. But I love these cardigans. I got a couple other ones, and then I realized I already had the same one, but I kept it anyway because you never know. You just don't know when you might need it again. Also, I would say stretch pants, but I wear them year round now. So I'm not really a fashionista, but now that I'm a professional singer in a very small church, didn't need to be said, I need those very long cardigans.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Did I get to a minute? I'm sorry. I'm so enthralled.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sheila, and I agree with you. It's so frustrating when you have this like amazing full outfit you want to wear, and it's just not the right temperature for it. So I feel you on your pain.
Come on, weather!
And yes, she was okay. 1:44.
Oh.
Okay. So Molly, since we have a smaller class, Molly, I'm going to have you go next. I'm going to time you. And I would love to hear from you. What's one of your favorite fall memories?
Oh, one of my favorite fall memories. Well, Halloween, of course, because when I was younger and I lived with my mom and we lived next door to one of my best friends and her little brother, and we would always come up with very creative costumes. Because I remember one year I was a dead waitress. So it's like I had the tray of food and then I had the blood dripping down my face. And then my best friend had the same idea, and she wanted to be a dead bride. So it was kind of like the Bride of Frankenstein. And then her little brother was very into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So we lived in a small neighborhood, which is kind of rare in Los Angeles, but it was over in the San Fernando Valley. And I remember our moms would take us out trick-or-treating. So it was kind of like a zigzag pattern. So we would go back and forth, up and down the streets. And I remember during those years, I had a pink bike, and I would also ride it along those streets. And of course, my mom would get paranoid when I would go to a different street than the one we lived on. And at that house, we also had a bunch of fruit trees. So we had a lemon tree, and we would make lemonade, which I kind of digress because that was more of a summer thing. But I remember my best friend's mom was a really good cook, and she used to make this wonderful pumpkin soup. And I should probably get the recipe for that and make it for myself. So that's a good fall memory. And as you see, I love pumpkin cooking. And I also like to dress up my guinea pigs. Prissy and TT have the most fabulous costumes. So maybe I'll do one for Ginger this year.
Thank you, Molly. And I cannot wait to see your, what are they called? Your
Guinea pig.
guinea pigs dressed up. You have got to share
Yes.
photos in the
Little Ginger.
I love it. Perfect. Okay, great job, everyone. You got over a minute, under 2 minutes. There's a few ahs. I'll say at the end. I guess I'm going to just be the ah counter. But otherwise, amazing job tonight. You all are just like on it. You're like, just go right into the topics. You're so confident. I'm so impressed. I love it. Okay, so speaking of impromptu speaking, we're going to do a little bit of coaching around it because why not? We have about 20 minutes till we have to get into speeches. So let's talk about our feelings. What? I know, who does that? What feels scary about impromptu speaking for you? So what feels scary for you with speaking on the fly or impromptu speaking?
Oh, I'll go first if nobody else goes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's one thing to talk about like childhood memories and favorite recipes and guinea pig costumes, but like describing what I do. Yes, exactly, Sophia, organizing my thoughts. So it's like describing clearly and concisely like what I do and how I do it just on the fly. So I think that, like I was saying with my therapist earlier today, it just takes practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So organizing your thoughts.
Yes, and I completely agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I've felt like that for a long time, and I still feel like that. And I've found that the more that I practice and, doing it at Toastmasters every week and then also in our businesses too, we do a lot of impromptu speaking. We do it on sales calls. We do it on Facebook Lives. We do it when we're hosting workshops or women's circles. We do it when we go on first dates. We do a lot of impromptu speaking like all the time. And I don't know if all of you realize that, but it's like really getting confident around it and honing in on the skill. And then that's where confidence comes from. So there's so much value to really
exactly
tapping into this. Yeah.
Yeah, and like not only am I going to riff off of Sophia with, I think she totally hit it on the nail with organizing your thoughts, but I think that I'm going to riff off of that and extend it. So it's just being concise with your thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. And you're not alone with that, Molly. Like I said, I that's my biggest fear. I know Sophia said that. Who else here has some fears around impromptu speaking? What's yours, Sheila?
So my biggest one is if somebody brings impromptu speaking on a subject that I'm not comfortable with.
Yes.
So for instance, I'm a singer in a church. I have very my religion, my spirituality, what I believe is a little different from the church that I go to. And I don't really want to share that, and but I'm a sharer. So if somebody asks me, I might accidentally say the truth, which I get worried about when it's a personal thought of mine, whether political or personal. I don't like to talk about it, and I'm afraid somebody's going to ask me the wrong question, and then I just have to run away and be weird.
So it sounds like when it comes to like religion and politics, that's not, you don't like talking about those things.
I'm afraid of confrontation. I'm afraid that it becomes an argument, or rather than just me speaking, it becomes an argument. And that's what I hate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you're not alone with that. I mean, those are two of the most avoided topics I think out there. Actually, a guy in Toastmasters did a speech last week about this, and there was one more. Like, yeah, religion, politics, and then there was something else. I don't remember what it was, but
So not sex, religion, and politics. Things
maybe that was it. That was probably it. Yeah. I'm curious though, because I used to be afraid of this too. Before I did coach training, I was like, I'm going to stay far away from any controversial topics.
Right.
And then after becoming a coach, I actually love them now because I find that it's really easy to come from this like non-judgmental, curious place and to just like get curious and before I would come in from this like really emotionally charged place,
Yeah.
and it would result in this really heated argument and feelings would get hurt. And so that's why I would avoid it. But now coming more from like a coaching perspective, it feels more empowering. So I'm curious for you, if you come at it from like a coaching perspective, how do you think you would be able to handle those conversations?
Probably ask more questions rather than, well, why do you believe that? Well, why do you think that? Why do you? I mean, I deal with this with my in-laws, and even my husband pushes me to the limit. Husbands never do that, though, right?
Yeah.
Relationships aren't hard at all. Yeah, just asking questions. Like you said, being curious. I think that's a really good point. It's like, okay, just ask them questions.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, you're spot on with that. Like with my parents, they're so like my mom is hardcore liberal, my dad is hardcore conservative, and before I would be like, I'm just not going there. And then yeah, now like when they get really passionate. Okay, for example, it was when I was in Colorado last year, vacationing with my mom. We were watching the news. It was all kinds of like, Trump supporters on TV, and they were it was just really hard for me to watch. And I was like, Mom, we have to turn this off. I can't watch this. And she got really upset with me. And she's like, do you not care about our country? And do you realize that people died for you to vote? And I asked her, I was like, Mom, this is really interesting, like how passionate you're getting here. Where's this passion coming from? And she like started crying, and she explained to me that like a lot of her family members had died in the war for people to be able to vote. And it like touched my heart, and it made me like look at her like a human being. And I was like, no wonder she feels like this. No wonder she's so like emotionally charged. So like if I would have like never gone curious and asked her that question, like I would have never realized why she feels the way she did.
And actually, my mother-in-law, I went to a whole therapy session over this because my mother-in-law just became a citizen, a U.S. citizen from Germany, and she'd lived here for 45 years, and she's diehard conservative Republican, but not religious. Would listen to like Fox News, would record it so that we could all watch it over dinner, like as a family.
Oh,
and I went to my therapist and I was like, I just don't understand. I don't even know how to approach this. It's awful. Like it's always Bill O'Reilly and whatever. It's always just intense. It's awful. And she said, maybe she's trying to just prove that she's an American as much as anybody else, because that's what she does. She watches all of these shows and she had to choose a side, and she's going all in to prove how American she is. And I'm like, that makes total sense. Like, it's not about me. It's not about her beliefs. It's about her thought process of, do people think I'm American enough? And so I think I look at her now, and when she says things, I'm like, yeah, you're American. It's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it's so interesting when you come at it from a different perspective and you come at it from a place of like love and holding space, then it becomes more tolerable, or more like, okay, I understand where this is coming from, or I'm available for this conversation now. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Sheila. Who else who hasn't gone yet? What scares you about impromptu speaking?
So as I said, I think for me, a part of it is organizing my thoughts mostly because I organize my thoughts on paper. I find it very hard to, like, if I'm speaking, it just goes all over the place. I am somebody who visually organizes my thoughts. So if somebody just asks me to get up and speak about something, unless it's something that I'm really familiar with, I feel like I just ramble all over the place. And also being understood, because I know that sometimes I might hold a slightly different view, and just being clear about my point and not just biting my tongue or whatever. So I think it's the combination of the fact that I get really nervous, especially if it's a group of people. If it's one-on-one, I find it a little easier. But if it's a group of people already and then it's not something that I'm familiar with, and I don't have like the pen and paper there to map out what I'm gonna say, then I find it really difficult.
Yeah, I hear you. So it sounds like what you're saying is, like, when you don't have time to prepare ahead of time and write down, organize your thoughts on paper or have bullet points, like, I'm assuming for your little video that you did for challenges, you probably prepared that ahead of time, right?
Oh, they're like 4 pages of notes. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. I can't.
So
Yeah,
if someone would tell you to do a Facebook Live on the fly and you didn't have time to prepare, and then on top of that, if it was about a topic that you're like, I'm not that familiar with, it sounds like you'd be like,
I probably wouldn't do it. And yeah, these are my notes that I had for the training. Like I sat down and prepped out all my notes. It just helps me to keep focus, and it takes away some of my nerves. So it's difficult. Like, again, you know, for me talking about that table topics, I find the table topics aren't too bad, especially because it's short. But, like, you know, if somebody were to ask me about, you know, I don't know, something more substantial, I probably shy away from it.
So what could be a plan for that in the future if you would have to speak on the fly about a topic that you're not as familiar with?
That's tough. I guess even if I could take a minute or two to think about it, that would work. But I think if I could find a way to not be so nervous, it would probably be better, actually. If I could find a way to calm myself down, then it would take away the nerves aspect of it, so that at least that's not combining with the not being able to process.
What helps you to calm down when you feel those nerves?
Seeing someone I know, which doesn't help if I'm in a room full of strangers, but, like, if I see someone I know, that helps. I am actually not sure. When you ask that question, the first thing that immediately popped to mind is I'm a really nervous flyer. And so I actually taught myself to go to sleep when the plane is taking off and landing, which I know that sounds totally random, but it's something I teach my patients to relax themselves. So maybe if I could translate that to this particular situation, then that might work, because it's almost like a self-hypnosis. It's a bit strange, but it's something that I taught myself, and I've taught some of my patients to kind of like calm themselves down. But I find it a lot easier to do it for other people or to teach to other people. It took me a long time to teach to myself. So I guess I'd have to find a way to combine that into like a really short space of time.
Yeah. So can I add to that and offer a suggestion?
Sure.
I mean, so obviously you don't want to make yourself go to sleep when you're expected to talk in front of someone, but I mean, I do think that's an interesting trick for the plane. But if you watch the videos from Module 5, it talked about taking a couple of breaths before you start speaking. And I noticed I used to do that. they'd call my name, I would get up there and I would just start going and I would start rambling and my voice would be shaking. And now, like, I take my time to walk up there And I just like take a couple of breaths, and then I repeat the question back that they asked of me to give myself.
Oh, I like that.
And I just really try to come from this more like calm and relaxed place, because it's really hard to give an effective talk when your brain is just like on fire and it's like, ah. So those are just kind of some tricks. Yeah. So taking a couple of deep breaths, and then re-saying the question back to give yourself some time. And then also too, in your brain, if you're saying like, I'm so nervous, you can change it to like, I'm so excited. I do that before the Toastmaster speech, because I'm trying to transfer that nervous energy into excitement energy.
Okay. I like that. I like repeating the question, because I feel like it just gives some space, which is sometimes what I feel like I need. Yeah,
you're right. You just need some space for just it to sink in for a moment, So yeah, hopefully you can practice that next week.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. My friend that I went to Toastmasters with on Saturday, she's like, now that I had some other responsibilities that I've wrapped up, she's like, it's time for Toastmasters now. And I was like, oh. Like, yeah, I'm probably gonna go back. So.
Good. I'm so glad you went. Another thing I wanted to add too is, and a couple of you have already said this too, about being nervous to talk about a topic that you're not that familiar with or that passionate about. And I wanted to share an example of a couple weeks ago. It was on 9/11, and they called me up and they asked me about something to do with Obama. And I was like, I got up there and I was like, oh my gosh, like, no, I don't want to talk about Obama. And I'm just not a big politics person. I mean, I wish I was. I wish I like had a lot of feedback and a lot of stuff to offer, but I just don't watch the news ever. So, but yeah, so they asked me like, what's my thoughts on Obama? And of course, like my whole chest starts to tighten, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to say? Or not Obama, Osama bin Laden. Sorry. I would love to talk about Obama. Osama bin Laden, even worse. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. I know, a little different. And so, right, my heart is pounding. I'm like, what am I going to say to these people about Osama bin Laden? And then I'm like, okay, Krista, go back to a place that you know, share a personal story, talk from the heart. This is literally the pep talk I gave to myself in like 25 or like 10 seconds. And I was like, okay, Osama bin Laden, he's like a villain. What do you know about villains and stories? And I just told them this unique perspective of how I feel that there's meant to be good people on this earth and there's meant to be bad people, and you can't have good without evil. And I said, I truly believe that Osama bin Laden was probably born into his role, and that this was part of his destiny, that was part of his purpose in life. And I told them, I was like, you guys might not agree with me, but this is what I feel. And I ended up winning Best Table Topics that night. And I just spoke from the heart. I didn't get into like all this politics. I just talked about like, this is my philosophy in life. These are my beliefs. And everyone really liked it and they identified with it. So that's just my little tip, is that if there's a topic you're not familiar with, relate it back to a topic that you are familiar with or that you are passionate about. Can't go wrong with that. And don't get Osama bin Laden and Obama mixed up. I feel so bad. Okay, who hasn't gone yet for talking about what's scary? Veronica? Yeah, go ahead.
For me, it's the afterburn effect. Like, damn it, I should have said this. I wish I could have said that. I could have really made an impact, or, and I hate that shitting on myself afterwards. Even though I may do fine, but I just feel like I always judge myself afterwards. Critical.
Is there an incident where this happened recently?
Just everything. Like even asking about the pumpkin spice, it's like, oh, I could have been more clever. Or I could have said something a little bit differently. At the women's circle, I should have talked a little bit more about the meaning of the circle, and it's just gaining experience with that a little bit more. Or when I do my speech, just being able, I think that's my fear from looking away from my script, is that I'm going to miss something, and I'm not going to be able to communicate it as passionately as I want to. And so, yeah, I think that's where that fear comes in about not trusting myself to know the words.
Were you the person in school, Veronica, where you would take a test and then you would go back and change all of your answers?
Um,
That was Sheila. Okay.
I don't know. I've gotten to the place where I try really hard just to do it and walk away. Like when I do my speech, I'm just going to do it and walk away. I post something on Facebook and I just walk away. And so maybe I probably did go back and reanalyze stuff.
Because the reason I'm asking is because they always say that the first answer you put is correct. And when you go back and change it, that's when we second guess ourselves or we overthink it, and then it's going to be wrong. And I noticed that in school, the tests that I did the worst at, it was the ones that I took the longest to do and that I would go back and change my first answers. So what I'm saying here, and you already brought up the word trust, is trusting that the first thing that comes up for you or comes out of your mouth is going to be the most raw. It's going to be the most authentic because you haven't had time to edit it or over process it or second guess it or refine it to make it more acceptable. So what's that bringing up for you?
Me learning to embrace change and just go with the flow, and all of that comes trust within yourself. And at the end of the day, I'm going to live. I'm not dying. If it wasn't perfect, I mean, at least I'm stepping up and doing something and taking a chance. And so I got to just remember that part of it as well.
I thought your answer for table topics tonight was great. I love it. Like, I was really impressed actually with how well thought out it was, and you showed us your nails, and it was great. So I don't know what else you could have done differently.
Okay, that's great feedback.
Yeah. So I bet you're doing an amazing job, and you're probably just second guessing yourself and just trusting that you know what you're doing in all areas of life, and you're doing actually an excellent job.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Sometimes we just need to hear that. Yeah. Okay. And Nanette, did you speak yet to what fears you have around impromptu speaking?
What makes me uncomfortable about impromptu speaking is the feeling that I'm going to get lost. Basically mirroring what everyone else has said. I'm going to get lost. My thoughts aren't going to be organized. I'm very much the kind of person that likes to organize my thoughts on paper. Even before I do stories on Instagram, I write out my thoughts. I'll write it out and I'll practice it a couple of times. And I want to be the person that can just get on there and riff. I want to get more comfortable with that. I feel like I'm much more willing to even attempt it, because when I was a member of Toastmasters, I never volunteered for table topics, ever. I would hide. No, I'm not volunteering. But that's something I've been uncomfortable with, and I really want to overcome it. It's so silly. It's really so silly. It's like Veronica said, did you die? No. So what's the problem? It feels big when you're doing it. Well, when I'm doing it anyway. I don't know. Can't speak for anybody else.
Well, yeah, so there's a huge win already right here. Like you said, in the past, you're I would have never volunteered for table topics. And look, here you are, you're doing it, and you're so confident when you're speaking, and you're so calm and collected and organized. And so huge achievement already right there.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so what do you do in the past when you want to get better at something and overcome something? What do you do?
Keep doing it. Just keep doing it. Keep on, keep it on.
Just keep swimming.
Yeah. And I it's really, I don't know about anybody else. I feel there's this energetic shift happening for me where I'm so much more willing to step into these scenarios because I'm so much more relaxed than I would have ever imagined myself in this kind of scenario. And I'm at a point in my life where, I mean, whatever, I'm from New Jersey. It's like shit or get off the pot. So all right. Just fail fast. Like I keep hearing that in my just fail fast, fail fast.
Mhm.
So I'm like, all right, the faster I can fail, the quicker I don't want to say perfect it, but the quicker I'll be more confident with it.
Yeah. Love it. Let yourself fail and just keep practicing over and over again. I mean, I feel like you guys are going to hear me be a broken record for the remaining part of this program. Is I'm just going to keep telling you guys over and over again, like anything you want to get better at it, you just have to keep doing it. That's it is truly the only way. It is the only, right? You can't like sit here and like pray to your spirit team and say, please let me be a better speaker. Like, I mean, I'm always all about asking the universe for support, but like the only way you're going to get better is you just have to do the damn thing. Like we literally should have that all on a Post-it note or a poster on our wall. Just do the damn thing. It's the only way to get better at anything in life. So, okay, lovely. Thank you everyone for being open and vulnerable and sharing and talking about your emotions. And now we're going to get into our speeches for tonight. So let's see who is going first. Oh, Veronica, thank you for texting me about Sarah. Okay, so we have Sheila going first. And who is going to be evaluating Sheila? Why is this not opening? Okay, that was going to be Sarah. Who wants to be, as I'm going to be taking Mary's spot and evaluating Nanette, who can evaluate Sheila tonight? Do we have any options?
Oh, I will.
See, but you are timer, Molly.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I can be timer for Sheila.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so Veronica's going to time Sheila, and then Molly's going to evaluate Sheila. Okay, cool. Sheila's covered. So Sheila, how many minutes do you need, and what's the title of your speech? You're muted.
Got it. I need 7 minutes, and the title of my speech is The Race.
The Race. Cool. Okay. Let us know when you're ready.
Okay, Veronica is timing me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then we do 7 and then 7:30.
So Veronica, when it's 1 minute, so when she's at 6 minutes, you're going to hold up the 1. So that means you have 1 minute left.
Okay.
When you're at your time, she's going to hold up 2. And then when you're 30 seconds over, it's going to be 3, I believe. Does that sound right, everyone? Is that the rules that I created?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, so you get a 1 minute warning. You get the warning of when you're actually at your time, and then you can go up to 30 seconds over your time that you asked for. So that would be the 3.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready. Hello, everyone. My name is Sheila, and I am the mother to 3 amazing kids, something I never thought I would have been able to say. But before I tell you about that, here are a couple of things you need to know about me before we begin. Number 1, I'm super sarcastic. And number 2, as pointed out by my 6-year-old, I say the word shit a lot. That's all you really need to know. It all started with a race, not a 5K, not a 10K, but a half Ironman, 70.3 miles in one day. To break that down for you, that's a 1.2 mile swim, a 56-mile bike ride, and a 13-mile run on purpose on the same day. And I paid for that. A lot, like hundreds of dollars. It was ridiculous. So I spent months training for it. And why? Why does anyone do a race or an event like this? To achieve a goal, build confidence, test yourself, overcome something, or just to build fitness. For me, it was something totally different. It was to prove something. You see, for 2 years, my husband and I had been trying to start a family. We had removed the goalie and were knocking boots for on a regular 28-day schedule or 33 days. Really, my cycle wasn't normal, so it was around 22 days. I don't remember. It was awful. All I know is we hated having sex at that point. We started doing fertility treatments, drugs, ultrasounds, no answers. Keep in mind, I was in my 20s, so there's no reason why I should be infertile, and I was getting angry. The doctors finally came up with a diagnosis for me. It came down to unexplained infertility. Basically, all of these doctors with years and years of experience had no idea why I couldn't get pregnant. So I decided to race. I decided to take control of my body, to punish my body really for not producing what I wanted it to produce. And I started training. I ran, and when I ran mad. I was angry. When I would bike, I would cry, angry tears. When I would swim, well, I would just swim because I didn't want to drown. I couldn't swim and cry. I was doing everything mad and angry. I was so mad at everyone and everything. I'd get another friend's pregnancy announcement and hit the pavement, running as hard as I could until I collapsed, which I literally did often. People on the trail probably thought I was a lunatic because I was. About 3 months before the race, I became tired. Not just tired, I need a nap, but the kind of tired that you can't come out of. After taking about 30 negative pregnancy tests, I went to the doctor. I finally got a positive test for mono and anemia and vitamin deficiencies. My body was fighting back. Over the next 3 months, I kept training mad and exhausted with the bottle of caffeine or whatever I had available to keep me awake next to me. At work as a fitness instructor, I would nap in the exercise room in between classes. I was a mess, but I knew I was a fighter. I was going to fight through this. I would not quit. Finally, the day came for me to race. I went with a team of triathletes and friends. My husband was also racing with me. My parents had made the trip to watch me race as well. I was ready for all of this to be over, this self-torture, so to speak. I began to swim. The water was calm and I was calm. I was focused on not drowning. Literally, that's all I was focused on. One stroke at a time. Remember, I could never swim angry. I had to focus. I completed those 1.2 miles quickly, actually quicker than I had ever trained for. So I had come out of that with excitement, knowing that I could complete this race, that I could beat my body. My plan was to coast down the next hill to regain my energy. It was about a 3-mile hill, 7% grade. All I had to do was sit on my bike and breathe. How hard could that be? I get on my bike and the wind picks up to about 60-mile-an-hour gusts. It was totally calm up until this point. I go down the hill and I have to pedal, and then I hit another hill. 56 miles, every single turn, the wind was in my face. It was never in my back. In fact, halfway through the bike course, I got a flat tire. I was ready to give up and quit, but a volunteer came over and offered to fix the tire. So I just said yes and kept riding on. Soon I didn't see any other bikers. I was last. No one else was feeling the wind. Was it just me? Just like no one else was going through infertility. We all started in the same spot, and now we're not finishing at the same time. Where is everyone? I got to the bike finish where I decided to quit. Everyone had passed me up, so I didn't deserve to be here anymore, just like I didn't deserve to have children. I wasn't meant to be on this course. Something was stopping me. Every force in the universe was against me in this moment. But then I saw it, a crazy woman with these crazy rainbow dusters waving in the air. Holy shit, that's my mom. My mom is here. No matter what crazy shit I get myself into, my mom is here. My dad was there too, but not too close to my mom because she looked really crazy. She goes over the top sometimes. It can be embarrassing, but my dad he's always been there for me too, even if it's in the corner away from my mom. And here they were again, supporting my crazy. I got to the aid station or the transition station, grabbed my running shoes and hit the street. I might as well finish. My mom's out there with crazy dusters. I started running and I started seeing friendly faces. I saw my husband finally. He high-fived me on the way through. I saw people I recognized and people I didn't know were cheering me on. So I kept going. And then I got into the parts where you couldn't see people anymore and I was getting dark and depressing thoughts. I can't do this alone is what I decided. I've been putting myself into this lonely fertility box, probably shaped like a uterus. My husband was going through it. My parents were going through it. Everyone around me was experiencing infertility, and I thought I was all alone. I needed the community to lean on. Maybe my fertility was not my weakness, but my strength, something I needed to get through this race so I could get on with my life. I rounded the corner and saw the finish line. I came in with my arms raised high. I had done it. In front of my friends and family, I had finished the race. I had done what I had set out to do, or had I? The truth is, I hadn't done a damn thing. This race may have been over, but I still wasn't pregnant. My race to motherhood had just begun. I had a lot to think about that day. I had 7 hours and 45 minutes to think. Had I known what I know now, it would have been another 9 years before my fertility race would be complete. I needed more endurance then than I even knew. No amount of angry training could prepare me for the race I was embarking on. A race that required grit, determination, a lot of self-care and therapy, but that's a speech for another day. Thank you.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Oh, that was so beautiful, Sheila. It had
Thank you.
It had humor, it had depth, it had soul, emotion. You did such a good job. I'm not
Been
your
in my head for a long time. That's the beginning of my speech.
Sophia doesn't want to go anymore. I do hate that when someone really good goes in front of you and you're like, fuck, I'm just gonna leave. Oh, amazing, Sheila. Okay. Molly's your evaluator, so we'll have all the speakers go and then the evaluators go, but just amazing job. And thank you, Veronica, for keeping time. Okay, we have Nanette going next. I will be evaluating you, Nanette. What is the time requested and the title of your speech?
6 minutes and the power of your thoughts. I need to stand up.
And Molly, are you taking over the timer again?
Yes, unless otherwise specified.
Go for it.
Veronica,
Okay.
can you keep track of the filler words for me? Because I was doing that.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Okay. And what is her requested time?
6 minutes.
Okay. So basically at 5, I'll do the 1, and then 6, do the 2, and then 6.5, I'll do the 3.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
I didn't take into account that I might need to make my thing taller since I'm standing. Ah, shit. I'm just trying to find something to put it. I mean, I guess, but it's just like a boob shot. I'm not really comfortable with that.
Oh, that's perfect right there.
That's good. Oh man. All right, whatever. It is what it is. All right, guys. So tonight I want to give you an introduction to the power of your mind by sharing a very intimate story from my life. Sorry, somebody just came in. I'm sorry, guys. 1 second. I'm gonna relocate. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry, guys.
I totally get it. You started off really good, though.
Oh, I knew that was gonna happen too. I'm sorry, guys. All right. All right, here we go. All right, so tonight I want to share with you a very personal story that is related to the power of your thoughts. A couple of months ago, I was driving over a bridge in New Jersey, the Driscoll Bridge that connects the Garden State Parkway to some of the smaller roads. It brought me back to a time when I was thinking about jumping off that bridge. I had spent countless hours Googling, researching the best bridges in New Jersey to jump off of, and that was the bridge that I had decided upon. Now, let me take you back a couple of steps so that I can illustrate how I got to that point. I had been sitting in the Perkins restaurant, just finishing up my Belgian waffles, and I was lamenting over my poor choice in breakfast, waiting for the waitress to show up with my check. I'm sitting there patiently waiting, and she finally arrives so that I can pay my bill and get on with my day. I start to walk out the door, I grab my complimentary mint, and I head into my car. Now I'm sitting in my car, and suddenly I feel this sensation behind my left leg. And I think to myself, what the heck is that? I pull up my pant leg, and then I see this tiny little figure burrowing its head behind my knee. Taken off guard, I grab that little bloodsucker, pull it out of my leg, and realize that it's a tick. Now, I had pulled many ticks off of my cats over the months. I had many cats, many feral cats living outside that I would take care of, and ticks were an everyday occurrence. Never had I had a tick lodged into my leg. So I pulled the tick off, dropped it into my center console, and quickly drove home. I was starting to worry because I wasn't quite sure what I should be doing. So I get home and I do what any other self-respecting woman in that scenario would do. I pulled out my pendulum. Pendulum, do I go to the hospital? The pendulum stood still. Shit. Now what do? I pulled out my Archangel Raphael cards. Angel Raphael, guide me. What do? I choose the card and it says, listen to your intuitive feelings. And I thought, Raphael, if I could hear my intuition right now, I would do what I thought I should do. So I kept pulling card after card after card, and I wasn't getting anywhere. So finally I thought, all right, let me grab a plastic baggie, I'll throw the tick inside the bag, and I'll head to the ER. And that's exactly what I did. I got to the ER, and unfortunately, the nurse was really dismissive. She didn't think there was anything to worry about. She threw the tick away and sent me home. And home is where I went. And I just forgot about the tick. Until a couple of months later, I had woken up, I got out of bed, and the left side of my body failed. Now, I had been getting a lot of different messages and signs that were telling me Lyme disease. I was meeting people in restaurants. I was seeing it on television. Everything in my energetic field was saying Lyme disease, but I didn't want to believe it. I started to get progressively sick. Eventually, I brought myself to the doctor and my fear was confirmed. I had Lyme disease. And that was the beginning of one of the hardest challenges I've ever had to face in my life. I had gotten so sick at one point where I would wake up with such pain on the side of my head that I'd push my head into the wall, hoping that the pressure from the wall would counteract the pain that I was feeling in my head. It was unbearable. Nothing was working, no matter what kind of treatment, what kind of antibiotic, what kind of herbal supplement, no matter what I was doing, nothing was helping me. And I started to get very depressed to the point where I could no longer get out of bed. And I really just wanted the pain to stop. And I thought, okay, nothing is working. My body is failing me. My only choice is to leave my body. So that's when I started to research what my options were. And the only option I thought I had at that time was to kill myself. So I went to Google. Isn't that where everybody goes when they need to find out an answer to a question? So I Googled, what is the best way to kill myself? And there was a variety of answers. I could hang myself. I could jump off a bridge. I could put my car into the garage and just turn it on, and the fumes would overcome me within a few hours. So after researching, going through different forums, I decided that the best route would be the bridge. So I looked up, what are the best bridges in New Jersey with the highest likelihood that I wouldn't survive? And that's when I decided on my bridge. So I thought, okay. Over the course of a few weeks, I started driving over that bridge. And every time I drive over that bridge, I had so much anger inside, and I would yell out to God, are you happy? Are you happy now? Look at what has become of me. Here I am. I feel like I have no options. And that's exactly how I felt. And after being in that space for a while and really exhausting myself to the point where I couldn't even get out of bed anymore, I thought, you know what? There needs to be a better way. I'm a student of quantum physics. I very much believe in the power of our thoughts, to not only create things like parking spots or job opportunities, but I believe that our thoughts can create change in our physiology. And being at rock bottom, well, really below rock bottom, I was buried below the rocks. Instead of using that power to create a positive change, I thought, you know what, I'm going to start focusing on my heart and willing it to stop beating. So every night before I'd go to sleep, I'd place my hands on my heart, I'd close my eyes, and I'd visualize that my heart ceased beating. With a strong emotion, with tears running down my face, I would focus on my heart stopping. And of course, I'd wake up the next morning and I'd be so pissed off that I was still here. But I continued this for quite a few weeks. Eventually, I thought, you know what? Doesn't seem to be working. I need to try a different route. So I made an appointment with a functional doctor. And this doctor took a number of tests, both blood tests for viruses, parasites, and she did a series of very interesting energetic tests. Now, when I got the energetic test results back, she was a bit concerned about the number that was corresponding to my heart. She says, Nanette, the number that represents your heart is unusually high. And the moment she said that to me, I felt like I got punched in the gut because I knew. I said to her, her name is Dr. Raza, Dr. Raza, I've been doing something. I've been using my mind to focus on my heart in a very negative way. And she said to me, Nanette, do you not understand
how powerful what you're doing, how powerful of a result what you're doing is creating. And the moment she said that to me, I had two reactions. My first reaction was, holy shit, it's working. And my second reaction was, holy shit, it's working. And it was in that moment forward that I had always believed in the power of my thoughts. But until I experienced firsthand the change that incredible emotion coupled with the power of your thought, until I have experienced that firsthand, I didn't quite understand. So remember, it is through your strong, expectant belief that brings about what you desire. And if you ever felt like the saying, as a man thinketh, so is he, was false, I ask you to change your perception. Thank you.
Thank you, Nanette. As you were talking, I was like, these speeches are so much like better than Masters. And then I was like, what's going on? And it's because like all of you are so willing to be vulnerable and raw with your life stories. And it's so beautiful, yet it's so powerful. And it's like, oh my gosh, the whole world needs to hear this. Like, we need to open these calls to the whole world because these stories are so fucking powerful. Ugh. Amazing. Thank you, Nanette. I'm so excited to evaluate you later.
Thank you.
Okay, our last and final speaker is Sophia Robinson. Sophia, who's evaluating Sophia? Veronica, okay. So what is and you know what, guys, I've been forgetting to ask what the goals are you want to work on or what you want your evaluator to look for. So Sophia, what is your time you need, the title of your speech, and what do you want Veronica to look for?
All right, so 7 minutes is the time. The title of the speech is Tell Your Story, Save Your Life. And I actually want to work on not using the notes so much, but in all fairness, I haven't got there at all. I thought I would have kind of memorized more of it, but I have to come with a different approach. So hopefully I'm still engaged while I have my notes.
Okay. Perfect.
All right. So, as I said, the title of my story is Tell Your Story, Change Your Life. I'm Sophia Robinson, and I'm here to tell you secrets are destructive. Seriously. I grew up and live on a small island, and one thing you need to know about small islands is that they have big secrets. There are many secrets around in my house and in my community growing up, and two of the biggest secrets were around mental illness and addiction. And these secrets also involve my parents. My mother took her own life just before she turned 40, and my dad raised us by himself, all while being an addict. And ultimately, he passed away as well from cancer in his early 50s. And I only found out about these things when I was in my very late teens and early 20s. Now, I often wonder, why would they keep those things secret from us as children and from the community around them as well? And the two main reasons I could think of now are two of the main reasons that most people keep secrets: shame and stigma. And the reality of it is, I'm sure my father was trying to protect us also as children. It's so common for children to see what is happening around them as a reflection on themselves. And I'm sure that my family wanted us to have as ordinary an upbringing as possible, given the circumstances. But as hard as anyone tries to keep a secret, it often begins to leak out in the forms of conflict and tension. And I ended up with both of those things, both inside me as well as between myself and my father. So, got to life as an adult, and I began to see signs of these things in my own life as well. I had this ominous feeling I was not going to live past the age of 40. I started to suffer from and was diagnosed with clinical depression. And in all honesty, I was planning to keep it a secret as well, for the same reasons, shame and stigma. But why else do people keep secrets? Think about it. Is there anything that you've ever desperately wanted to keep secret? The reasons I've found personally and in observation, in addition to shame and stigma, are culture and expectation. Sometimes we feel pressure within our cultures to keep parts of ourselves and our stories secret. It could be church culture, could be family culture, or like me, it could be Caribbean culture on a small island. Sometimes we feel pressured by the expectations that we place on ourselves or feel from those around us, such as our parents. We should be driving a nice car, so we keep the secret of debt. We should have an amazing waistline, so we keep the secret of eating disorder. We should have our shit together, so we hide the tears that we cry at night because we cannot cope. But honestly, keeping those secrets can be destructive to us and to those around us. They can cause us not to know the truth about our past. So for me, my family keeping those secrets meant that I didn't know about my own medical history. They can cause us to hide our truth from others, making meaningful relationships making meaningful and intimate relationships almost impossible. And we need relationships. We are social creatures. If you're surrounded by a wall of secrets and shame, people cannot get close to you. And it prevents us from getting the help that we need. So in terms of in the case of mental illness, there are actually so many physical conditions that can predispose us to having mental health issues. For example, hormonal imbalances or deficiencies. I actually recently had a patient who suffered from pica, which is a condition where we crave non-nutritive substances to eat, such as rocks or chalk. She kept the secret for years because she was ashamed. She kept it from me, from her family, from her other medical practitioners. When she finally admitted it to her GP, she was found to be anemic, which is often associated with pica. But by the time she was diagnosed, she was severely anemic, and she destroyed a lot of her teeth from her habit. So a personal example for me, when I finally opened up about my own depression, it was found that I had thyroid disease, something else that also runs in my family. And this meant that I was able to get the medical support that I needed, as well as going into therapy to help me manage my depression. Whereas if I continued to hide it, it could have destroyed me both physically and mentally. So secrets actually can destroy us and our relationships. How can we counteract this? Well, we can speak our truth. We can tell our stories. When we make the decision to tell our stories, we hold the power to dissolve the shame and stigma, to seek help and support, and to develop courage in the face of our fears. And we create a safe space for others who wish to tell their stories as well. I was fortunate enough to have really close friends with whom I felt comfortable and I confided in, and they encouraged me to get professional support, see my therapist as well as my GP. And to be honest, seeing a therapist is even taboo here in our community, so that was even a hurdle for me. And also, I was already feeling depressed, so to have that energy to overcome that hurdle was very difficult. So that's why I needed that support. This actually brings me to an important point. When telling your story, find a safe environment. You might not want to, nor might you be advised to blurt out your story or secret to the first person you run into, even if that person is a friend or a family member. Find an environment where you feel safe, you're not concerned about judgment, and you can work through the story. It can be a therapist, a coach, a doctor, it can be a close friend or family member, or it can be the pages of a journal. For me, writing was a huge safe space for me to start getting my story out of my head. And a journal is a great place to begin to own our own story before we get comfortable sharing it with others. And remember, sometimes we are our own biggest judges and critics. Sometimes we do not speak those truths because we judge the words coming out of our own mouths. We silence our truths because we feel like we should be stronger or smarter, like we should have it all figured out. We stand in our own way when it comes to reaching out for support and erasing the shame. Sometimes the first person who needs to hear our truth is us. And the bravest thing we can do is to say it out loud to ourselves or write it in our journals. And I promise you, it gets easier to embrace our stories the more we tell them. I went from lying about what happened to my parents to writing about it in my book and sharing other stories when they read mine. Sharing our stories really does help build connection and can strengthen relationships and improve our health, both mental and physical. So what is one thing you can do today to own or share your story? Open a fresh page of your journal and write the thing that you've been afraid to say. Is it a big truth about yourself? Is it a huge dream or a deep desire that you might have that goes against the status quo? Could you reach out to a friend or coach? It all begins with that first step. Tell your story, change your life. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful, Sophia. That was just so beautifully written and spoken too. And I'm so honored I got to hear that. Yeah, it was fantastic. I don't know why you were worried about Sheila going first. It was amazing. Oh my gosh, everyone. You blew me away. Like, I don't know why I'm not crying right now. I'm a crier. Just like your stories were so big and powerful. And like I said, like the world needs to hear these right now. I am so excited for y'all to like, that you feel safe to start practicing them here. And then, wherever you decide to share them afterwards, whether it's a Toastmasters or women's circles or Facebook Lives or TED Talk stage, like the world is so ready for you all. And people need to hear this. Like what you're sharing is truth, and truth is medicine. So thank you so much. Good, Sheila. I'm so happy you feel better. Okay, so we're at our time. So we'll do our evaluations like we did last week again in a live in the Facebook group. But I want to hear from you all real quick. So Monica asked me to ask you guys this. We always end with a question about like something you learned new or you learned about yourself. And she said she wants you to do it this way. I came in this class 5 weeks ago feeling X, and now 5 weeks in, I'm feeling Y. So I'd love to hear from you all. What's your X and what's your Y? And if you want, you can type in the chat box. You can say it on the video. You can take a deep breath. Go ahead.
5 weeks ago, I was feeling a little dread. Like, what did I do? Why did I sign myself up for this again? But I just feel so much more empowered and confident in talking about my story and self-control over the emotion when it comes up for me. I feel like I'm able to control it a lot better, which has been huge.
That is huge for you. Yeah, that's amazing. I love hearing that. Who else wants to go?
Sorry, go ahead, Molly.
Sorry. Yeah, so 5 weeks ago, I was kind of a little overwhelmed and anxious, and now I'm less overwhelmed and anxious because I'm finally getting a grip on being more concise and being more confident and sharing my story, and also delivering feedback.
Yeah, I love that you put that in about feedback. I didn't realize when we did the feedback lesson last week, I do feedback now all the time being a coach trainer, but I didn't realize how nervous it makes people. I mean, I know to receive it, but like to give it. So it's really neat to hear that a lot of you are healing your relationship with feedback. Okay. Sheila said, I came into this class feeling nervous about where this class would take me or not take me. And now I feel like this class is taking me exactly where I'm meant to be, in front of people. I feel that too, Sheila. I really do. Who else?
I can go. So 5 weeks ago, I came into the class, I think I was actually feeling nervous that I wouldn't be able to come up with a speech because I felt like I had so much stuff in my head. But now I feel like I can do it once and I can do it again if I need to.
Yeah. Yeah, Sophia, like you were so fucking good today. Like there is no part of me that would have thought you were nervous or never thought that you could do something like this. Like you were so much better than most of the people who go at Toastmasters that are on their like 10th speech. Like you blew me away tonight. Nanette, I think you're the last one.
I came into the class feeling excited to take a step toward one of my biggest dreams. And now I feel a sense of conviction, and I feel a sense of conviction that this is not just a dream. This is a goal that will come into fruition for me.
Love that. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, how do I market the upcoming retreat? Because Monica and I are going to start talking about that pretty soon. And I realized that probably most people, when they're watching YouTube videos and they're watching like Brene Brown giving a TED Talk, or they're watching a video of Gabby Bernstein sharing her spiritual wisdom on the stage, that most women are probably looking at them and saying, that'll never be me. I can never do what she does. And I want to end that. I want these groups and these retreats and whatever Monica and I do, I want it just to be exactly what you said, Nanette, that something that was like a far off dream, something that was a wish, can start to become a reality for you. And it all starts in these spaces. So I love that you said that. Yeah. Yeah, or Marie Forleo. They're all amazing. So, okay. Awesome. I love it. Oh, thank you. Such a powerful call tonight. So we'll be uploading module 6 in the next couple of days. Monica will be back next week. I will be in my hypnotherapy training, so I don't think I will be on next week's call, but I know you guys are all in good hands with Monica. And also just keep doing as many Facebook Lives as you can. As we talked about tonight, any opportunity that you get, practice speaking, even if it's just for like 5 minutes. Somewhere, just practice. That's how you're going to get better and more confident. So, all right, I'll see you all next week. Good job. Bye.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye.
All right.